Hi and welcome. I'm Dr. Carol, the SBD. What's love got to do with it? Who needs a heart when a heart can be broken? Welcome. Today we're going to be talking about conflict styles. Now, when you and your loved ones have a disagreement, your friends, your family, your colleague, your boss, what is your conflict style? Now, there are 5 ways in which we engage with conflict. Number 1 is avoidance. Now, in this situation, you run for your life. You avoid conflict at all costs. You sweep it under the carpet, you close the door and pretend it's not even happening and pray that one day it will get rid of itself. Now, the second way is accommodation. Now, accommodation is where you take in the views of the other person at your own expense. So your views, your feelings, your thoughts are not taken into consideration. You have to accept the viewpoint of the other person. You accommodate their thinking, but it doesn't really, it's not really what you really want to believe in. Now, the third one is competition. Now, in competition, there has to be a winner and there has to be a loser. So if you are the competitor, your feelings and thoughts are the ones that win no matter what. You don't care whether you hurt other people, whether it discourages other people, your way is always right. Now, if you're the loser, you leave feeling wounded, that your feelings were not taken into consideration, your thoughts were ignored, and you actually really feel like the loser. Now, the fourth style is compromise. Now, in compromise, you give a little, the other person gives a little. So conflict is sorted out, but no one really feels whole. No one really feels like they were completely listened to, like their points of views was actually taken into consideration. Okay, but because there's compromise, everybody feels a little better. And the fifth one is collaboration. Now, in collaboration, everybody feels whole. Your point of view comes in, the other person's point of view comes in, you put it together and you come up with solutions that are satisfactory to the two of you now and going forward. I'm curious, what is your conflict style? Now, the aims of conflict is for us to understand that conflict can be avoided. It's avoidable. That in as much as we tend to have a disagreement, sometimes we can overlook the small things that happen in everyday life so that we can avoid having conflict every day, every week. Because when you're always in conflict, there's a lot of negative energy in the environment. And when you stay in a negative environment, you tend to increase your negativity of the way you look at things and also the negativity in terms of output of what you actually give to the rest of the world. Now, the I of conflict is that because no two people are the same. We have different minds, we have different thoughts, we have different upbringing, we have different way that we look at things, so conflict is inevitable. Okay, so it is important to know that when you enter a relationship, whether it's a marital relationship, a dating relationship, a work environment, that conflict by and large is inevitable. Now, the M of conflict is how do you manage conflict? How do you mitigate? How do you moderate conflict? Okay, and that brings out your conflict styles. So how do you approach conflict? And is your approach for conflict able to remove conflict, mitigate conflict, or actually add fuel to the fire so that conflict becomes a cycle of conflict every day and building up resentment on every day ensures that conflict never really quite goes away. Now, finally, the S of conflict management is to remember that it's all about the self. It's all about you. You can't control the other person. You can't make the other person think like you. You can't make them not think the way they are thinking. You can only act on yourself. And hopefully, as you work and understand yourself and you bring a more collaborative way of dealing conflict, then the other person is also able to bring a more collaborative way of dealing with conflict. So my challenge to you this day is, how do you handle conflict and what are your aims on conflict? Thank you and see you next time. Bye-bye.